Alright, TrueJack.com, how to install a ceiling fan. What I have here is a little Curse 52-inch ceiling fan with 5 blades. Alright, step number 1. Open the box, obviously, take all the parts out. Alright, you can see I've already started. I was just kind of sitting here quietly meditating this morning while I was putting a ceiling fan together. And just in my calm place. But I figured I'd make a little video and share it with you. I've put a lot of these things together. So first, unbox everything, okay? Obviously my blades came, separate from that. You've got to open up the parts bag. And in the parts bag are a bunch of screws with the little felt thing. They go on the fan blades, okay? So they always give you like one extra if you're lucky. Alright, and I have 5 blades here. You get to pick what side you want showing. Make sure you put them all together the same, so you have the same face showing. And to give you an idea, that's the face. That's what's going to be showing from the ceiling. Okay? So the side that you don't want is the side you're going to put the screws. You're going to see the screw heads on the side you do not want. Now, since this is very similar, one's a little reddish brown and one's a brown thing, you got to be real careful. Sometimes they're black and white, and that's easy to tell the difference. So put your blades together first. Then you're going to put the light bulb and the light assembly off to the side, the glass pieces off to the side. Don't need to worry about that just yet. The next step is to take this little cover. Alright, and depending on what kind of fan you're using, you're going to have either a mounting plate, this, and then maybe an escutcheon. See that little cover, this little plastic ring here is sometimes separate on different fans. So, you're going to take and you need to separate it. This was actually inside the circle. I took it out and there's my parts. Now, inside, this base comes by itself and this is actually all separate, right? So it comes like that. So you're going to loosen the 2 screws. There's a screw there and a screw there. And you're going to pull the metal pin out. That's the metal pin. There's the little chuck piece that goes in there. You're then going to put this, whatever rings are your cover plates. So if it's this piece and this piece, put them on first. Slip them over the wire. Alright, then you're going to put your bar. Now in some cases you're going to, extend it down from the ceiling. If you're going to do that, then you need to take this apart. You obviously would have bought an extension pole with your ceiling fan, and if you didn't, you can't extend it down. So you need to get the extension bar. You need to get the right length that you're looking for, and make sure that it's not just a bar out of the garage. It's got to have the holes manufactured. It's got to have a place to put the mounting screw and the grounding wire. Okay, but you can take this apart up top, and you can put any size pole in there you want. You want a 1 foot, 2 foot, 4 foot. They make them in different lengths. But since we're just going on to a regular standard ceiling here, we're not doing that. So you're then going to, I'm trying to do this with one hand. You put it all back together the way I just had it. Alright, and that's going to be your first step. We're going to do this. I'm doing this all by myself. There's nobody running the camera. So I'll do this in a couple different parts. Okay? But that's going to be your basic setup right there. That's what you need to get started. And then we're going to, this needs to get mounted to the plate. Alright? There should be a metal box in the ceiling. In this case, there's no metal box. But I'm working off a plaster ceiling that's about 2 inches thick. And I'm going to try to find, so my most important thing, if you don't have a metal box, you've got to make sure that this is going to anchor and it's going to take the weight, and it's not going to come flying off. Alright, if you've got a metal box in the ceiling, you're pretty good. Then you would just take the 2 little silver screws out and they would go through. You would just put them both in first before you tighten either one down, and then center it up so it's just right, and then tighten it down. And tighten it down pretty good. And once that's done, you should be just fine. Now make sure your wires come through the center of the thing. Okay? And then you'll be fine. Obviously, this little hook thing here is where that is going to go, right? It's going to slip right on. So once you have the mounting plate on the ceiling, that just drops on, and then that holds all the weight while you're doing the wiring, and then the cover just slips up and goes over the screws. And that's how you mount it. And we're going to show that here. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to show that to you. I might put it on a tripod and I'll hang it real quick. But that's our initial thing. So now I'm going to go, now that I've got the setup together, I need to put the pin back. And I need to tighten down these 2 screws. Remember, there were 2 screws on here. Okay, so once I put the pin in, that keeps it from popping off. But the 2 set screws are what make it solid, so it does not move. Okay? And it doesn't really matter, just as long as you get, doesn't matter if it's, you know, right or left in here. You just get it so the pin lines up. Once you make sure you put that pin in there. Don't just tighten the screws down without the pin. You might get surprised one night when it comes crashing down on top of you. But as long as that pin's in there, as long as the pin is in this little pole, and this thing is secured to that silver box in the ceiling. Now in this case, I don't have the silver box, so I'm probably going to use toggle bolts or something that goes through and grabs all that. As long as you have those 2 things, the ceiling fan can never come down. Okay? Now, of course, let me put my disclaimer on here, like everybody puts a disclaimer on there. You know, please consult a professional before. Just kidding. You'll be just fine. All right, ceiling fan can't come down as long as you put that pin back in, along with that, and you tighten those 2 screws down. All right, and make sure this is anchored properly to that. All right, so look for part 2. I'll show you how to wire this. Obviously, black goes to black, white goes to white. If you don't have the optional, the extra wire for your switch, then you're going to hook the blue up to the black wire, power, right? So, in this case, we only have 1 white and 1 black. So, our light and our fan is going to be run off the same switch. So, I won't even use the switch. I'll be using the pull chains to turn it on and off. Alrighty? Good. Look forward to part 2. TrueJack.com, how to install a ceiling fan.